Take a look at chapter 12.1, Annuities Due. So we've seen before that we have two types of annuities. We have annuities where the payment frequency and the compounding frequency is the same. So those are ordinary, simple annuities where we can just use I. We have payments, the payments frequency and the compounding frequency are separate, are different. So this could be semi-annual compounding with monthly payments. So you have an ordinary general annuity, where it's a general annuity, and we're going to do another twist when we're going to say we're going to have all of these were payments at the end of the period. So if you have a car loan, you borrow money, they don't ask for money right away, you pay them, make the payment at the end of the month. Okay, so you're going to make a payment 1 month essentially after the start of the annuity. We have a different type of annuity where the payments are at the beginning. So we now have 4 categories where we say if the payment frequency and the compounding frequency are the same, we have a simple annuity due. And if they're different, then we have a general annuity due. So a lot of the stuff that we did before by doing these differences are going to be the same. The only difference is we're going to make a payment at the beginning of the month rather than the end. So when does this occur? Well, we have payments at the beginning of the month when we do things like rent, leases. Okay, if you pay rent, you're going to pay at the beginning of the month. They don't let you live in the apartment for a month and then pay the rent at the end. They don't let you lease a computer and pay at the end of the month. You have to pay up front. Insurance. ICBC doesn't say drive your car for a year and then at the end we'll pay for the insurance. They want the money up front and then let you drive for a year. So all of these things imply a beginning of period payment. Well, what does that mean? Well, if we're being really specific about what we did with our ordinary annuities, being really specific there, we had a timeline where we had a present value here. We had a future value sometime in the future. And we had payments. And the first payment was actually 1 period in the future. Payment 2 was there, and the last payment was actually on the same date as the future value. If we had a loan, the loan is paid off the instant that we make that last payment. So the last payment and the future value are at exactly the same time. So 1 period from the end is actually the payment of n minus 1. And then the last payment is on the last date. Well, so this is an ordinary annuity. Well, what we do for a annuity due is we shift everything 1 over. So actually payment 1 would be there. Payment 2 would be there. And the last payment would actually be there. So this is payment N, the last payment. And so we have payment 1 and our present value at the same time. And now we have the last payment here, and you get to use your car for a month after you make your last insurance payment. You get to live in your apartment for a month after your last rent payment, and so our future value is now here on its own. So the difference is that we've gone from a model where our present value is a loan, a whole bunch of payments, and then a future value and a payment at the same time, to a model where our payment and our present value are at the same time, and a whole bunch of future goes along, and then our future value is alone by itself without a payment. Well, the difference is, if I take a look at this payment, payment 1 here used to be not quite the whole duration. It was, so going into a future value, the payment would have been really 1 month short of that whole time. Now it's actually the whole time. So if we take a look at the future value of an annuity due, this is equal to the future value of an ordinary annuity that we had before, say an ordinary annuity, times 1 plus I. One more period of interest. Okay, so we get one more period of interest. Than we had before. Yeah. So an annuity due will be slightly larger future value than an ordinary annuity. On the other hand, if we're looking at the present value, this payment doesn't get any interest, and so present value is going to be 1 period less interest. Let's take a look how this works. Well, we'll do an example where we're going to lease a car. So we know that there's payments at the beginning. So we lease a car with purchase price of $21,500 at 3% monthly interest. And what we'd say here is the residual value after 3 years is $12,000. What are the payments? Well, if we do a timeline, it looks similar to what we had before. But here we have $21,500 value. In the end, we have a residual value, $12,000. If we wanted to keep that car, we'd have to pay an additional $12,000. So we have to give back a car worth $12,000. It's a negative experience. It's something we'd have to pay. We're going to make 3%, or interest is going to be charged at 3% monthly. And what we're interested in is what are the size of the payments. Well, the other thing we're interested in here is because we have the word here, because it says lease, we know that this is annuity due. We're going to look for keywords, which are lease. We might take a look at prepaid, or just at the beginning of the period. If it has any of these 3 words, we know that this is an annuity due. And what we know in annuity due is that the first payment is going to be right here at time 0. So the first payment, we don't know what it's going to be, is going to be there. The last payment is going to be there, and we're not going to have a payment here. Well, things don't change very much, and our calculator is nice enough to do a lot of the work for us. So again, we take all the values like we used to do. We have a present value. This is $21,500. We have a future value. This is negative $12,000. We have an N. This is, well, this was 3 years at monthly. what are the monthly payments? 12 times a year, so that's 36 payments. Our interest rate is a nominal rate of 3%, compounding's 12 a month, and compounding's 12 a year, payments 12 a year, monthly payments. Okay. If we wanted to still do I would be equal to 3 over 12, which is 0.25 per month. Okay. So now we're going to compute the payment, but how do we do that for an annuity due? Well, we're actually going to say we're going to go into BGN mode. And in order to do BGN mode, what we do here is we're going to do second function payment, because we know the payments are the beginning. And we're going to do second function set to make sure that it's in the right mode. So if I take a look at my calculator, I actually don't have any labels up here, so I'm in end mode. If we're going to go to second function BGN, right now it says end. If I now go second function set, which is the enter key, it'll now say BGN, and we'll also get a little BGN at the top. It now says BGN here, and BGN is our label. I now know this is BGN mode. So 21,500 is the value of the car. Negative 12,000 is residual value. 36 is the N. 3 is the I per Y. Payments per year are 12. Compoundings per year are also 12. And I can see that I'm in begin mode, and now I'm going to compute the payment, and this is going to be negative $305.51. So $305.51 is what we're going to pay. Just comparingly, if I did this in end mode, so the payments were at the end of the month, compute the payment, and it'd be $306.27. We'd have to pay more because we wouldn't be making this payment right at the beginning. So the big thing here for all of the annuity due questions is that we have to set it into begin mode. We do second function payment, second function set, and when we do that, second function payment, changing end to begin, we're going to get the little label up here. Now, my recommendation is at the end of every annuity due question, unless you're working on a bunch in the chapter, but at the end of every annuity due question, turn it off, because the majority of your questions are going to be ordinary annuities. Doing an annuity due is going to be a special case.